Hey, real quick before we get into this video, I've got my first GD02 tournament next Tuesday with registration opening today as this video comes out at 11 a.m. PST or 2 p.m. EST. Should be a lot of fun. GD02 legal and proxies for GD02 legal. Check it out if you haven't already and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're finally in the GD02 meta for the Gundam card game. We're going to go over a lot of events in this format, but I'm happy to go over the first one for this format in general. So it's going to be the Eagle's Nest Weekly that they do weekly every Wednesday, and if you guys want to see their future ones, you can find it linked in the description for their hub on Limitless. They've been doing a really good job at hosting these online events and have been doing so for the entirety of GD01, and happy that they're doing it into GD02 as well. So make sure to check that out, and then also this was live streamed on Risu's channel, which is also going to be linked on this page and in the description too. So if you guys want any of these details, you can. But honestly, like a really good resource, and I appreciate them not only running these events but also for publishing the deck list so we can go over them in videos like these ones too. So this is not one of the largest events, right? We did have 19 players, 5 rounds of Swiss best of 1, but I do think that this kind of shows some of our initial deck building. I also want to say that this is, again, like the first week. This is kind of like week 0 decks too, so these are nowhere near like the only decks that are going to be viable and stuff. And if you guys want to see more of the deck list or like the full 19, you can find them on the Limitless page here. But I just kind of want to go over this and go like just some initial thoughts where I've been seeing people build. So from there we can look at the top 8 where we had 3 copies of green and white Wing Zero as well as a copy of the blue green one. We've got a blue and red Cyber-Newtype, and then 3 blue white decks that, if depending on who you are, these are the same decks, these are different decks, but I'd say that one's more of like a tempo deck with strike, one is kind of more of the freedom blockers, and you'll see that it's more of like an academy engine as well. And then we also just have like a more aggressive academy engine too. So honestly, I'm a little bit surprised at 2 things. One, I would expect blue green aggro to kind of show up, but I'm surprised to not see it for this one. And then also no purple for this top 8, even though I think it got a lot of fun and good support cards. And so I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't get a performance for this one. But again, this is just week 1, and obviously people kind of lean more to at least the decks that do well are the decks that are more obvious into that did well in set 1 and weren't really nerfed, right? So which I think Wing Zero has consistently been very, very good into set 1, and I don't think that's going to change much into set 2. It got a little bit of support, which we're going to look at, but I also think that any of the kind of more technical decks will take a couple weeks for people to kind of really find what the deck list looks like and what they're good with. But honestly, so far, I don't want to bring this into reality. I don't think there's a deck that's going to be tier 0 into this format, which is always kind of a worry into set 2, especially when adding a brand new color. You're kind of worrisome that there's one deck that's going to be way better than everything else. And so far, I haven't seen it. So we'll see if that continues to be the same. But I think this has been a pretty good start for this one. So that's going to be it. We're going to go over the individual deck lists. If you guys want to look at them at your own time, you can find them on my website there. And also, we will be continuing to update this page with more and more events as we get them. It's looking pretty bare right now, but we're going to add more as we get them too. But we're going to start off with our first place list, which is Michael's version of Wing Zero here. And this has obviously been a deck that's been very good again in the previous format too. And we got 3 copies of green white. So not only do you have Michael's build, which was able to get first place, we also do have SdotAkuma's as well as the WontTradeRXLR's version of it. So you will say that there is a good amount of differences between a lot of their builds. I'd say Michael's build is quote unquote the standard build, where it's almost the entirety of like the same build that you have for GD01. Brand new card is the Rick Diaz here, just another blocker that I think a lot of people are using to replace Zawart with. It is obviously a little bit worse because it is a card that can't be played at level 2. It's a level 3 cost, but having 3 HP as well as 3 AP and being able to attack into like anything, not having the same restriction as Zawart, means I think this card is in a really, really good spot. And there's a lot of blocker decks that are just adding this and removing Zawart for it. So I think that makes sense for that. We do have the Zaku 2, which again, like if you're just using Zawart as like a 3 AP to trade with something, Zaku 2 can do the same thing, which is great. And then if your opponent has a slow start, you can bop their EX base very early. So I like that add here, and then kind of the general package there. So there is still like a decision, I think, if we want to play Death Side or not, or if we want to have the duo stuff. But I do think that makes a little bit more sense when we are running some of the new cards that now also link with duo as well. So we do have that in example with SdotAkuma's build. We do have the new Gundam Heavy Arm. So deploy, look at the top card of your deck, deck, return to the top or bottom of your deck in any order, and then you get to just link with any Operation Meteor trait card. So why that's really important is because then you can link it with Duo Maxwell, which you will still get its Stirring Link effect, which is really nice. The fact that this has inherently 4 HP is great, which means that if you don't even have anything underneath it, Gundam or Wing Gundam will let you, you won't KO it. You'll stay around with 1 HP, and then kind of the rest of the deck here. So honestly, I think this would be a little bit more of what I'd be leaning to, right? Duo also gets to link with Death Scythe here, which can be a pretty obnoxious card. Repair 1 is nice, even though we don't have, we're only at 3 HP, and any of our blocker, we can make it a 5/5 as well, which is nice with Repair 2 or Repair 1, but obviously a little bit more circumstantial, I think, for it. But I think this is a pretty good build too, and if you want to play more of the duo stuff and take less of the strike package stuff, I think that's fine as well. And then lastly, we do have this build, which is like a little bit of everything, right? We've got like the academy stuff, we've got like the strike stuff, we've got a good amount of these commands as well. This is like definitely more of a pile of cards, which is really interesting. So this is WontTradeRXLR's version of it. And I do think that one, like Rebuild, is a great card that lets us get there. Both of them, we're going to see a good amount of this card in these decks today too. So this just being a card with high maneuver means that there are a lot of situations where like having high maneuver from this, as well as the Wing Gundam Zero, just gets you in a lot of good spots for kind of closing out games. The fact that this also has blocker as long as you're paired, which 4 or more commands in your trash, which we are playing, a good amount of copies. I think we're playing 12, so not unlikely for it, which also Rebuild gets the recycle for. I think like having the Freedom Gundam with the Gundam Aerial Rebuild might be a little bit greedy, but I do think that it works. I just feel like we have like not that much things going on in the mid game, and it's interesting to not even have the Rick DS for it. So this one I think is definitely a little bit greedier into the late game, but can do really well if you get to the late game as well. So you just have kind of focusing on having less of these like aggressive starts for it. So anyways, this is the build here. I think that so Michael and SdotAkuma was able to go 4-1 with this. WontTradeRXLR was able to go 3-2 with this build, which I do think is a little bit more inconsistent from what the build looks like, just from a sense that we don't have as much early game for it. But again, the late game looks really, really nasty. So here are all the white and green, green and white Wing Zero builds, but we also do have one more. It's the green and blue. And green blue like Wing has not been like uncommon in the fact that one, the star deck, two, that a lot of this Wing stuff came out of was a blue and green deck. And we did see a good amount of blue green at the beginning of GD01, a couple months ago, like back in July. So being able to tinker with it again, I think it makes sense from this point. And we do just kind of have a couple of like new cards to help us get there, right? So one is the Taurus here. So doesn't have blocker, but the fact that this is a 3/3 that you can hopefully get some good 2-for-1 trades with in the early game is really strong. You can attack enemy players, so same thing as the Wart, and it doesn't have blocker, but I do think this card is like a really good like early game target for, again, getting some good value trades and helping you survive to the end game. We are playing Zaku 2 for kind of the reasons we mentioned. We got Rizal and Wingbird mode, which is great. We also do have the heavy arms once again in this deck as well. And again, just like having like a deploy effect to look at the top card and get that ability is good. That also means that like early game, like Hero can pair with, link with either bird mode or heavy arms and get some really good advantage, especially since the when linking effect for Hero works for anything that it links with, right? So it becomes a +3/+2, which means that this becomes a 6/6 with Hero in it, which is kind of absurd for like an early game, right? Like you can go like super 2-for-1, I think, with this, or I guess it's 2-for-2 with Hero, right? But this just becoming a 6/6 is obnoxious, I think. So that's really strong. We do have the Death Scythe with any Operation Meteor pilot, we're able to get that ramp with it. So I think that's good. I would kind of consider playing like the 4-drop Quatre, being able to be like the command pilot, just because it can help you with Death Scythe, and I think it's a little bit more important for this build. And then we got our Wing Gundam, so a little bit more aggressive leaning, but I think this deck is in a really interesting spot. I think you also could play blue-green with more of like a breach focus too. That can definitely help you get those spots, but like the heavy arms, I think the new card, I think blue, like this blue-green version of it takes advantage of it a little bit more. And then we're just playing 3 Amros because guess what? This pilot's really, really good. I don't know who doesn't know that, but even though it doesn't link with anything, it has a when paired effect, which is amazing, and can help you like get some defensive plays too. So here's a build though for our blue and green, and congratulations to Squirrel for their finish there. Next up, we're going to go, this is kind of like the halfway mark in the fact that you know, we've got pretty much a bunch of wing decks. We've got this deck, and then we got a bunch of blue-white decks, right? And this is a blue-red Cyber-Newtype. It's still, I'd say ping is the right word for it, but I'd say this one is less ping than usual, and is more focusing on the new Titan cards, right? So this new Titan archetype focuses a lot on like Cyber-Newtype based pilots, which we already kind of have in our blue and red decks that we've been playing as well. So brand new cards are the Psycho Gundam MA mode, just has generic repair 2 and links with a Cyber-Newtype trait, so it works with the Merida or the 4 here, Murasame here, so both of these cards can be very good with it. This card is just like I don't know how I feel about this card, I'll be honest. It's not bad, but it's not super good. It just says during link, once returned during your turn, when this unit recovers HP, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, you get to draw 1. It being during link is a little bit obnoxious in the fact that you do need to, you know, it's either one of these two for it, and like there's like generically Amuro is still like the better card, but this becoming like a 6/6 and then have its breach 3 is already good, and then during pair with a Cyber-Newtype pilot, so again this works with Merida, when one of your Titans units destroys an enemy shield unit, enemy shield area card with damage, this recovers 2 HP, which includes you know, this card as well, which is great. One minor thing, we do have a 1-drop 2 cost 1 drop 2/2 Titans card that should probably be played just in case that just ends up being better. It's like a minor change, but I don't think it's going to be like hugely impactful. It's like a 1% card for it, but I think you do play it anyways. We are playing the GD01 Gundam over the Star Deck 1/1 just for being able to get some more draw, which is interesting. You know, the fact that we get like the repair 1 is nice, and if you know, there are I think times where like the 4 is just kind of like a useless card in our hand if we don't have our pieces. So becoming a 5/4 with just being able to draw 1, I think is fine. And then we also have like obviously Kshatriya. This card is amazing, and now just has like you know, any pilot in our deck gets its when paired effect, which is great, and then kind of the rest of the deck as well. So I do think that blue and red is going to be very good still. I think that it was one of the best decks in GD01. I think it got more support cards and it's still in a good spot. I do think like sometimes like this deck feels a little bit clunkier than what I'm used to kind of in GD01 as well, but I think the Psycho Gundam is like a really good like boss monster that is kind of like our first boss monster, and then kind of buys us time to be able to get the Banshee later in the game too. So we'll see what this deck kind of looks like in the next little bit, but I'm happy I was able to get a top 8, and congratulations to first to Geicokiller with their finish with the blue and red Cyber-Newtype. So kind of wrapping up this video, we've got 3 blue-white decks as mentioned. We've got Jinzo with what I'm calling the strike tempo, right? And we've seen this deck kind of do okay, I think, in previous GD01 metas. It's kind of like, you know, we've seen like Freedom Blockers, we've seen Unicorn running a lot of these cards, and then someone decided just, you know what if we just don't really play our top end as much? What if we just kind of go for it by playing a lot of our smaller bodies and just make it difficult for your opponent to outvalue, right? I think some of the best value cards in this game are 1 Star Deck Gundam, very good. Sword Strike Gundam's made a lot of work, or put in a lot of work in this kind of last half of GD01 meta, and then Ale Strike, this being able to like get rid of 2 cards immediately and you know, aggressively has always been good, I think, in this, right? So with the Kira and the Amuro, and then we're playing 2 of these GD01 rebuilds. We're not playing any of the new ones, though. I do think it could fit into this deck. It can be a little bit expensive, and we're not really playing, I think, enough commands to make it super worth it in that way. But one other thing is that I think Unforeseen Incident has been getting better and better in my mind, where it's really difficult to not play a couple copies of this. It's very flexible, and it's very easy for this to go kind of 1 for 1 in the sense that like your opponent like attacks one of your dudes, you block, you Unforeseen, and then they just kind of lose their unit, and you get to keep your unit too. So another thing that I've seen is that you can use it aggressively, since it's -8 3 for the turn. You get to, like, if you need to shrink something and then just attack 2 things into it without losing your 2 things, that's still also some really, really good value. So other than that, we've kind of talked about Rick Diaz as a really good blocker. People are adding into their builds lately. And we've got like the Corsica base, which you guys know that I don't need to explain that I love this card a lot. And then we also have the Naolgama, which again, in my mind was a bit of a late add into this format, where I'm like, oh, this card actually ends up being really, really good in a lot of situations. And I think this has been, you know, a lot of people have been playing it in testing it and has, you know, been finding a lot of success with it as well. So here's the build though. I'm really surprised we're not playing any overflowing affection, though we do have the 4 show resolve, so that's fine. But I would kind of do like a maybe like a 2-2 split instead of like the full 4 from show resolve, but it does still get you there in those situations. But here's the build from Jinzo. Congratulations for their top 8 there. Next up, we've got our blue-white freedom blockers, and again, I mentioned this as kind of more of an academy build for it too. So we do have, again, a lot of the same stuff, and you will see that in these blue-white decks, the card overlap, that, you know, what cards are good are going to be very immediately clear. But this is kind of more of like the freedom top end, or sorry, the Gundam top end with aerial. So we have this one, but also the aerial rebuild, right? This becoming a blocker, just having high maneuver generically, the fact that it's a level 7 means that it's kind of difficult for some decks to kind of interact with this card. And you know, this just sometimes like this will just be enough to go for game and make it so your opponent, puts them in like a checkmate scenario, right? They're down to 1 and you have 2 of these aerial rebuilds. Like even though they have blockers, it's not going to make a difference, which I think is great. So we are playing like, you know, a good amount of our pilots. We are playing 10 with this, 3 Amuro, 3 Soletas, and 4 Kiras. We do have our strike package or Gundams as well as the Zawart, and then the Argama. This is the first time we've seen this card in a deck, right? This is just like a generically okay base, I think, right? Like if you don't think Archangel did anything, right, this does prevent any like breach damage, which is good against like the Wing Zero decks at times, so that can be important. We also do have the base, we have the overflowing, we've got show resolve and the striker packs, right? Like it's pretty clear like what are the, you know, 3 or 4 best commands in blue white, and they're the ones that, you know, a lot of people are playing. But this is type 82C's build of the build of like a blue white deck. Congratulations for their finish there. And to wrap it up, we do have kind of like this academy aggro, what I've been calling it. I've seen this pop up every once in a while in these kind of Eagle Nest events. This is GrittzNGravy's build of the deck here, and you're just kind of low to the ground. You have a lot of ways for you to be able to press a lot of advantage, and you're really focusing a lot on the academy stuff, right? Like our only blue cards are Amuro, Gundam, and Corsica base, which I think is fine. We do have like the Unforeseen Incident as well as the Iron Fist's Disciple. This being able to be like a mine and like a pilot. That's also like a mini version of Unforeseen, which I think is good. 3 copies of Striker Pack, and then we just try to fill out the board. We have these units that are tough to interact with. Michaelis is also like a really great card too. This being able to turn into a 5/6 with the conditions, as long as you have the commands in your trash, which again should be pretty dang easy for it. So it also links with the Academy trait, which means that the Iron Fisted Disciple will be able to do that. And it's, you know, a pretty simple deck, but the fact that we also do have now like a really, you know, pretty good boss monster. I think this helps clean out a lot of games, and like your opponent has to kind of go 2 for 1 to trade with this sometimes, and I think that is good for this deck as well. So we'll see. I know a lot of people are talking about kind of building like these mono white decks, which I think could be possible in the future as well. But you know, it's really tough not to add blue in these. Like Amuro Gundam just solves so many issues so much of the time that it's, again, I do agree that it's tough to not include these guys. So anyways, this is the build here. Congratulations to GrittzNGravy for their finish with it. And that's going to be it for this one as well. If you guys are, again, new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you guys want to see any of the deck lists for this one, you can find them on my website, Eggman Events. We're going to add more and more as the next couple weeks go on, and you know, GD02 formula releases, as well as my own event that's going on next Tuesday, which I'm really looking forward to. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.